Get ready. Helena Hustle is now live. Here, we will showcase successful leaders in business, athletics, healthcare, and all things that make Helena a great place to live. Join Dr. Daniel Bridge, owner of Endurance Chiropractic, as he searches out amazing individuals who are making a tremendous difference in this place we call home. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired with the Helena Hustle podcast.
Welcome to Helena Hustle. I'm here with Courtney Smith, a realtor with the Synergy Group. Courtney, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Let's start off with your 2 truths and a lie. I gave you heads up.
You did. And I had to write this down because every time I went to say the truth after the lie, I butchered it.
Okay.
So, okay, let's see how well you know me.
I think I'm going to be able to pick it out.
Okay. All right. So first off, I'm married to my high school sweetheart. Okay. I'm highly extroverted and a little woo-woo. I'm highly competitive in almost anything.
Oh, you did make this hard.
Yes.
I feel like you are married to your high school sweetheart and you are extroverted. That's easy. So I'm going to say you're not competitive, although I feel like you are. But is that your lie?
Nope.
Really? What's your lie?
Highly extroverted and a little woo-woo. So
you're not highly extroverted?
No.
Okay.
So
do tell.
Yeah, I found this out in this is where the woo-woo comes in. There's a lot of like astrology, and I forget there's one particular one that people use for like your personality and like how you are and who you are as a person. And I don't really function that way. I'm like I want the science behind it. And I realized that I'm an introverted extrovert.
Okay.
And so I do not feed off people's energy in a positive way. If they're like crazy and chaotic, it drains me. And so that's where I'm introverted, but I'm more outgoing than most introverts. And I think it's really that I have really good people skills, but I'm like, I don't need to be extra, and I don't like being extra all the time. And some people's energy is like super I
agree.
Anxiety riddled. And I'm like, nope. I just want like my little bubble.
So do you feel, because you come off as extroverted, do you feel like you have to try to turn it on in social settings or maybe at work, or?
No, I feel like it comes really naturally. Like I get hyped naturally, but I don't come in hyped. Okay. I kind of have to get there.
So you're mostly talking about like feeding off energy and vice versa. Okay.
Definitely.
Cool.
I know.
Very cool. Okay, you stumped me. Good job. But you married your high school sweetheart.
I did.
Tell us about that.
So my husband and I have been together since 2011.
Wow, nice.
So it's 12 years almost, and then married for 9 in August.
Okay, congrats.
So, thank you.
August what?
31st.
Okay, cool, good.
So.
And I knew you're competitive. That's why I'm like, how do I guess this is a lie? But has that ever got you into trouble?
Oh yeah. For sure.
Let's hear a story.
What story? How many?
Have you ever flipped the Monopoly board up?
No. Mine mostly stems from like high school and sports. So I played a lot of sports.
What'd you play?
Soccer, volleyball, track, basketball, cheerleading.
Wow. That is a lot of sports.
Yeah. And so I got suspended from, it was either the basketball team or the volleyball team. For getting in fights.
Like physical fist fights?
Yeah, like girl fights.
In volleyball?
Yeah, there was this.
Like you went under the net?
No, like with other team members.
Okay.
I was a pretty like mean, rough teenager. I actually got benched in a basketball game for giving my half sister a elbow to the nose.
Oh.
Because we didn't get along and our schools played each other a lot.
Oh, okay.
And she's a year younger.
Really?
So
your coach is like, sorry.
That was the ref. No, the ref. And he
you.
was a really good friend with my parents, with my dad and my stepmom. And he's like, dude, she's got to get benched if she does it again. And my stepmom's like, that's her sister.
Okay, this was where?
This was in Vancouver.
Vancouver, Washington.
Yep, that's where we're from.
Nice. Yeah. And then how did you and Zach meet?
So we actually, this is a funny story. So we actually met in like the 3rd grade.
Oh.
So we actually went to school almost 9 years. I came we moved from Battleground to Vancouver, and we ended up going to the same elementary school, and then ended up going to the same high school together because we were in the same district zone.
Okay.
And so he actually, it's funny, he tells it a lot. He's like, I had a crush on you since like elementary school.
He did in 3rd grade?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We had a
do you
class
remember
together.
that?
I don't. And then ironically, the other day I was looking through a box of like school stuff, and I found the yearbook and the picture, the class picture, that we were in together. And I was like, hey, you remember this? And he's like, yeah, that's the class where he's like, I started to have a crush on you. And I was like, that's it.
That's cute.
That was the point.
That's a cool story.
Yeah.
And then tell us about your family. What do you guys like to do?
All right. I mean, we live in Montana, so hunting, fishing, hiking, camping, boating, all the fun things. I picked up paddleboarding.
Love paddleboarding.
Gosh, it's so much fun. I'm a water dog from birth, and so are my kids, but I thought like it would be too physical and it wouldn't be fun. And we have been paddleboarding since Wes was like a year and a half old. So 2020. And 2020 was probably the best year because that's when I got it. And I was so excited. And we literally like 2-lead around Spring Meadow Lake the entire day. And it was so much fun. And the kids just sit there and like they can look over or they can stand. And it's probably one of my favorite things.
That's awesome.
Zach doesn't like to stand on the paddleboard. He's like, I want the kayak or like the canoe and I can just sit and like just, wait around or whatever. But I was like, I love my paddleboard.
Yeah.
So
people used to like talk about how great it was. And I'm like, it looks kind of boring and it looks like a lot of work.
Yeah.
And then I got up there and I'm like, okay, I totally get it.
Yeah.
So we got
so
one
worth
last year and we absolutely love it.
I want to get some more.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. We live in the perfect place, which brings me to my next question. What brought you guys here?
To Helena specific or Montana in general?
Both, either.
Okay.
And when was it?
Yeah. So Zach, my husband, this was his like dream. He has a family friend that lives down in Manhattan, and he's like, I want to move and live in Montana. And so we graduated. He went to lineman school for work, and then he's like, do you want to move to Montana if I move there? And I was like 19, and I was like,
oh, you guys weren't married at the time?
No. Nope. So we graduated high school in 2012, and he got a call out the summer of 2013. So fall of 2013, we came out here, and here we are a decade later.
And why Helena?
So Helena, he would prefer Lewistown if I let him pick the place.
Plenty of deer in Lewistown.
There are, and there's good hunting, and it's the smallest town in the middle of nowhere, and it's like so isolated.
Have you ever been to the Chokecherry Festival?
No.
Yeah, they do it in the fall. It's August or September. Really fun.
It's worth going to.
Definitely.
Okay. So I will put that on our list, but it was just, I didn't want to be in Bozeman. We'd lived next to Bozeman for a while, and we've just came through Helena so many times. We had to go to Great Falls and Havre, which is where we first were, and that was totally different from growing up on the West Coast, which was honestly like a shock in environment. And so this was just enough where it wasn't super dense with trees, and it felt like big sky, and so I was like, let's put down roots. Let's buy a house. And so that's what we ended up doing in 2016.
Okay.
So we were married in 2014. So we lived up here for a while, and we're like, didn't really know where we wanted to live. And then bought a house in Townsend, and then we had a kid already. And then I was like, yeah, it's too far to drive. I don't like driving that far. You can drive. He drives all the time for work. And I was like, I just don't want to do it. But yeah, so we've been in the Helena area for 9 years.
You don't live in Townsend anymore?
No, we live we live by you.
Oh.
Yeah, in the North Valley.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah. Cool. And then did you work when you first came to Helena?
Yeah. So what did I do? I don't remember. No, because we had Aspen. And so we moved here in 2014, and we had just gotten married, and I was going to work. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then I got pregnant. And so I worked at the hospital for a while, and that was a whole nother scene I'm not going to go into. And then I was like, I'm out. Like, I'm 6 months pregnant, and it was miserable for being first time pregnant. And so after that, I just decided, I was like, I'm going to just be a stay-at-home mom. and see how it goes.
How did you like that?
It was fun. It was a little lonely being 12 hours from family and friends, but we had family that came a lot. And then ironically, we met Papa and Mimi, which are the friends' parents from high school. And I was like, what are you guys doing over here? And so it was nice to have them in town, and they're still here. And then
cool.
It was just about making friends. So it was kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah. When you, especially if you don't have a job where you're interacting with people and you're stay-at-home mom and you're in a place that is kind of foreign to you, I can see how that could be challenging.
Yeah, it was. And my husband's work at the time was not helping, to say the least. He wasn't home.
I see.
Traveling a lot, even like to North Dakota.
Oh, wow.
And at times. And he did that for a while.
I see. Yeah.
So.
And then take us from there to being a stay-at-home mom to what you're doing right now.
Yeah. So I was actually going to start real estate in 2017, 2018-ish. My daughter was born in 2015, but we're still trying to get pregnant with our second. And I had a miscarriage in 2017. And I was like,
sorry to hear that.
Thank you. Yeah. So I just decided to like put everything off. I was attending college at the time, and I decided it was just too much. And so I was like, one day I'll get back to this. First I want to build my family, and then I'll work on a career, because a career can come at any time.
Right.
And I didn't know if a family could.
Exactly.
So yeah, I really waited until I had my son, and that was in 2019. So once he was old enough, and of course, 2019, year later, pandemic hits. So that threw a monkey wrench in everybody's plans. So I decided to wait until the craziness kind of died down.
Yeah.
And so I got my license in 21, and I just passed my 2-year mark in April. So
Congratulations, 2 years.
Yeah.
So what does that take to get your license?
70 hours of work and passing the state exam and national exam.
Was that pretty challenging?
Yes.
I bet.
Yeah.
And then what sorts of things, like what sorts of questions do they ask you on those tests?
Oh my gosh, everything under the sun. It's like 120 questions between the two of them.
Wow.
And it's like from conducting yourself to ethics and situations, like, and it's all multiple choice, which is great and then not great.
Sure.
Because like always go with your gut, right? And so, yeah, I like barely passed whatever one it was. Just marginally, you have to get like 80%.
You passed.
And yeah, and so I ended up having to take the other one again a second time, because I didn't pass that one, and I was like, oh, I shouldn't have second guessed myself. So the second time I didn't second guess myself. Like the first answer, that is what I did, and I moved on.
You crushed it.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And so it took me 2 tries within 3 days of doing it, and then I got licensed.
Nice.
So
did you guys go out and celebrate when you got your license?
Oh yeah, for sure.
What did you do?
We went to Silver Star, which is like one of my favorite places in town.
Do you remember what you got?
No.
I'm glad you guys did that. I have a tendency to just like on to the next thing instead of like stopping to smell the roses.
Yeah.
And life's too short to not commemorate those big accomplishments and big stepping stones in your life. So
Definitely.
good for you guys.
Yeah. I try to be present where my feet are, but sometimes as humans, we just like get the ball rolling, like you're on to the next thing. And I'm always like, but what can I do now?
Slow down. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I got my first closing, I had my first closing and I got my first commission check. Like I still have that copy of the actual check itself. And I'm like going to frame it. I haven't framed it yet, and I probably should, because it's been 2 years, but I'm going to put it up in the office. And it was like just celebrating those milestones, and getting my license was the first step. And that was the biggest thing. And so it was Zach and the kids and I, and it was just, like, let's just take a moment and like wipe all the stress away from like going from Sunday to Sunday, literally in a week, crushing my 70 hours and then taking the tests and then passing it, and then being like, okay, this is where the journey starts. This is the next thing. I get to go sell real estate. I get to make people's dreams happen.
Yeah. So what did that mean to you when you got your first close, your first commission check?
I was a little baffled. I mean, there's a stigma like realtors make a lot of money, and I was like, this is just their first step, but this was their first step of this person's home ownership. And so it was not only just like taking that commission, but it was like, what just happened to that buyer? And so that's what I thought about. I was like, this is craziness. Like, I just helped this person buy a house for, you know, for their situation. And what is their next steps too? It's like, I don't even know, but I keep in touch with as many clients as I can that will stay in touch, and it's doing great.
That's exciting.
So, yeah.
Yeah. The impact that you get to have on somebody's life for the rest of their life. They might have that house for 50 years.
Right.
And their kids might have that house. And you helped put them in the perfect position for them to set up their home. I mean, we're in our home a lot.
We are.
And that's really great.
Thank you. Yeah. It's been a roller coaster for sure. And it's not always pretty, but you know, entrepreneurship's never sexy.
Yeah. On the outside, but yeah, the day to day, the late nights, early mornings, the things that don't go as expected.
Yeah. And time commitment. I mean, it's a business, and you have to put the time in to actually run it. So,
were there any surprises that when you started real estate that you didn't realize, oh wow, this is a lot more involved than I thought? Anything that stands out?
Yeah and no, but like, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Like, we had been through the process of buying 2 houses. So I had been on the client side, the consumer side for the buy and the sale. And so I didn't realize how much time, I guess, went into it. Like, you know, I'm sitting here and like, I'm like, this house looks great. And like, what about this one? And I don't realize the background that was kind of a shock, I guess. It's like, they're literally always looking for you. They're always working. Like, I knew, you know, real estate is going to be one of those businesses where like, it's 24/7, like Saturdays and Sundays, you're going to have to give up, and, you know, here and there. And so I just didn't realize there was like all this background search and all of that stuff. Like, you just don't see so much of it. All you see is like, let's go see the house today. Right. And like, let's put in the offer, and here's your inspection and all of the fun stuff that comes after it. And so it was a lot of learning.
I can relate to that through Crystal's job as a photographer. When somebody hires her, they see her come on set, pose their family, take the pictures, and then they get their pictures, you know, a couple weeks later. But then I see her taking her free time to go driving around, finding cool spots, cool views. Right. She'll say, okay, where's the sun going to be? And then there's a lot of skill involved in getting someone posed. And then all the hours that I see her editing photos and doing everything she can to make the experience as good as possible. Sure. Just like real estate, there's a lot more that goes on under the surface. Yeah,
behind the scenes is like crazy. And yeah, it's so funny. I think about that because I'm like, I'm not good with a camera. I suck at taking pictures. And it's like, there's so many things that go into it that I don't even know. Like you just said, like driving around, like I'm not going to drive around because I don't even know where to begin, because I don't even know what I'm looking for. And that's how people come in to real estate too. They're like, I have no idea. And I'm like, it's okay. Right. I got you. Yeah. Like, this is why I did what I did to be here to help you.
You have, from what we were discussing this the other day, but you have a really cool gift and process. Well, when I say gift, I mean like a talent of how you make the experience special for your clients. Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I really like to make personalized closing gifts for my clients. And if you think about it, a typical transaction is 45 to 60 days. That's from the start of an offer to the finish of it, to the closing table. So you literally have 2 months with this person in a really intense time in their situation, you know, in their life, in this situation, but you have so much time with them before. Like, I've worked with clients for like a year. Oh, wow. So you really get to know people over the time. Even like, I've had ones where it's like maybe a month that I worked with them, and then the 45 to 60 days to closing. And so I really try to get to know my clients and their personalities and like what is going to serve them in life. And so I just try to make things as fun but practical too. And that's where I'm like, it's really nice when people give like gift certificates and things like that, which I've totally done if it's like, you're going to have a bunch of people in town and you want to take them somewhere. Or my favorite one is like telling people about like getting my gift certificate and then telling them like, this is to my favorite bakery. Like you have to try XYZ at this bakery. And that's kind of the fun part. If I know they're like really into food, like I've had some parents and they have like teenage kids and I'm like, girl, I got you on the chocolate. I know where you can go get some really good chocolate cake and just little fun things like that. And I was telling you, the other day that I'd gotten, when I'm a single guy, some oven mitts. And I just feel like it's just one of those things where you forget about it a lot of the time. And it's not something you have all the time, but it's so needed, right? Like, what are you going to get out of the oven?
You forget to buy them.
And so it was just little things like that. So I just try to personalize it as much as possible to like what's going to fit their needs. And it, like, maybe it's even I buy lunch on moving day because you're so stressed out moving and trying to either have someone move you or move yourself. And, it's going to be 4:00 by the time you think about food. And so, I'm going to come and drop off pizza or sandwiches or whatever it may be. And I just think it's those little things that make people's life a little less stressful. And, it's just a nice gesture. Yeah.
It's a personalized touch and it's unexpected. It's not like, hey, what's included in this is you also get a pizza. No, it's something you don't have to do, something you choose to do. And I think it means a lot for people.
I definitely love it too. It not only like it's appreciated from them, but it like fills my cup too, because I'm like, okay, they're running around like a chicken with their head cut off. What can I do to alleviate something? So that's how I think of it.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay, Courtney. So what advice do you have for somebody who is looking for a house, thinking about getting a realtor, they're stressed, concerned about the market, just anything? Like what advice would you give somebody in that situation?
I always like to start with ask a friend. So if you don't have a realtor, ask a friend, because I guarantee you somebody in your sphere has a realtor friend that you could probably use. And if you don't know anybody, I always like to say do your homework and do a Google search, but read people's bios. That's like the first and foremost thing. Like I really like people that I can click with. Right. Like we're connected through a client of mine, which is a friend of yours and your wife's.
That
and
brought us together.
Yeah, exactly. And so I like working with people that are doing life like the same as I am. But that's not only people that I work with, older people, younger people, single people too. But it's like, I really want someone I'm going to connect with. And I think that is helpful from a consumer side too, because I want, as personally, I want to be working with someone that I feel comfortable talking with. Right. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing is like, either ask someone that you trust, who they trust to buy a house from, or Google and start reading, because information is just so powerful on trying to connect with people. And then if you're in the buying process, I mean, this can go so many ways, because right now we're kind of stuck on that post-COVID and it's crazy. Right. And people just think like it's like the end of the world, or it's not. Like there's two extremes. Like everything's fine, or interest rates are so high, I'm never gonna buy. And it's seek a professional, seek help, ask for help. And I think as entrepreneurs we don't do that, but as humans we don't do that enough. Is like go to someone who knows what they're doing, because they're gonna take a lot of stress off the situation.
Well, just like you said, like you outsource your photography.
Oh, yeah.
If you try to do everything on your own for your business, then you're not going to grow, because you can't do everything great. But there are some things that only you can do great, and then you can bring someone in who can fill your weaknesses. Yeah, like you said, as individuals, we want to do everything our own by ourselves and try to find a house by yourself when you don't know anything about real estate and what the process entails and maybe some of the different questions you don't think to ask.
Yeah.
So.
And I think personally in my business and professional, like my professional life and my personal life, is like, if you try to do everything, you're not living. I mean, you literally are one person, and I cannot be a photographer, an inspector, an appraiser, a lender, and sell real estate and be a mom and a wife and all the things. It's like, you will get burnout, you'll get exhausted, and then you'll hate what you're doing.
Right.
I love what I do because I have other people that do other things for me. Like Crystal, nope, I am not taking pictures.
Yeah.
You can come and take pictures all day long because that is not my strong suit.
Sure.
And like, that's just not one thing I'm willing to mess with. And I don't want to learn it because I think, taking pictures here and there is really fun, but it's like all the editing, like you said, and driving around, like that's just not what fills my cup.
Sure.
Like helping people and going down that road for, finding real estate is 110% my cup of tea all day long.
It's very clear talking to you, this conversation and others, that you love what you do. You love helping people. You love helping people to reach their dreams. So you're obviously very good at what you do. If somebody wanted to do business with you, how would they find you? How would they connect with you?
So they can find me on Facebook and at Courtney Smith Real Estate, Montana Real Estate. And you can always just call me, find me online.
So real quick, your Facebook is at Courtney Smith
Montana Real Estate.
Montana Real Estate.
Yeah.
Montana spelt out.
Yeah.
And then what did you say? The other ways?
They can
Facebook?
always, Facebook or Google me.
Just Google you and you'll
yeah.
pop up. Courtney Smith, Realtor. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Courtney.
Yeah.
Learned a lot and enjoyed having you on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Helena Hustle podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Once again, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Helena Hustle podcast.